Hey, what's up you guys? Geek here from Geek.en.Chic and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're anything like me, you've probably been seeing online a lot of things about a personal curriculum. I like to call it the resurgence of the Renaissance. So you're probably thinking, what is a personal curriculum? In this video, we'll go over what a personal curriculum is and the 5 steps of creating your own personal curriculum. If you're joining me from my previous video, you can go ahead and skip ahead to where I discuss my December curriculum. The time code will be on the screen. So what is a personal curriculum? It is a self-designed learning plan. You explore topics at your own pace and combine them with a bit more of a formal education plan. It's kind of bringing out your personal curiosity combined with the desire to learn. I really love this trend out of all the ones that I've been seeing online. It allows people, regardless of any kind of entry barriers, to seek knowledge to whatever extent they thrive for. It could be at the end finding a certification online that fits their course of study, or it can truly just be for the love of knowledge that people jump into this. This is great for people who work a 9 to 5 or a 7 to 3 like myself, and you still have that yearning for knowledge, but you're not enrolled in a standard institution. In a personal curriculum, you are both the teacher and the student, and together I think this is truly one of the best ways to learn. So there are 5 steps to creating a personal curriculum. Step 1 is finding your passion and choosing your pillars. These are going to be the topics you'll be studying. 2 is structure your learning practice. This is finding out the best way that you as a student learn. 3 is finding your learning material. We're going to review the best practices in finding good resources and the ways to avoid poor resources. Step 4 is documenting your learning. We're going to review the best ways to keep your notes and document your learning so you continue to retain that information you learn after the curriculum is over. And as a reminder, step 5 is to have fun. So we're going to review all of these steps together and drop some tips and tricks along the way so that you can have your most successful personal curriculum yet. Step 1 is finding your passion and choosing your pillar. You really need to ask yourself why. Why are you choosing to learn? Why are you putting yourself out there in this topic? What is it that you're looking for? Your answer could be something as simple as, I'm bored with the monotony of my day. Or it can be something like, I wish to be a disgustingly well-educated woman. Something like that is just your passion. It could be out of spite, I don't know, but whatever it is that drives you to learn, you want to hold on to that. Since this is a self-paced class and self-driven curriculum, you need to remind yourself why you're doing this. If we don't have that passion, sometimes we'll find ourselves drifting away from our knowledge or the desire to learn. So you want to remind yourself why you're doing this. Ask yourself, what do you already know and what do you want to learn? I would recommend starting with a topic or making a list of topics of things you're interested in and narrow it down from there. For instance, Halloween just passed. So if you're someone that carves pumpkins every year, maybe an October curriculum could be diving into All Hallows Eve traditions and why some have continued to modern day and which ones have fallen off. Things like that you're passionate about will be what drives your education. You want to get a list of things you're interested in. This can be anything from Gothic literature to the history of salt to the female bobsledding team of 1992. I don't know, but it could be anything like that. As long as it's something you're interested in, it will help you going forward. Once you have a list of things you're interested in, I generally recommend bringing it down to 1 or 2 different topics, maybe 3, but don't overexert yourself because this is a self-paced curriculum and you want to avoid burnout. But once you narrow it down, you'll have your list and ideas of your topics that you'd like to continue with. Step 2 is structuring your learning practice. This is where a lot of people get confused because there's so much content out there, there's so much to do, and they're not really sure where to start. This is when I would recommend reflecting on what works best for you in your learning style. Are you someone that does better with lectures and sitting and listening to a live speaker? Are you someone that prefers to sit and read textbook style and annotate? I recommend a mixed theory of learning. So this means combining books with audio, visuals, maybe even a hands-on project. Some people are solely book learners and will just take out books. You'll see later on in my style of learning, I do a combination of multiple things. Movies, books, lectures. I prefer that mixed theory of learning. You want to break down your topics into weekly or monthly objectives. I start all of my lessons with goals. So as in today, I want to read chapters 2 and 3, and I want to get through this video essay I found online. Remember, this is the long game. Short-term goals are best. You'll get to your end goal or your course description by the end of whatever time you set, but don't expect to get through 15 chapters in one day. Set smaller goals. With smaller goals, you'll get that sense of accomplishment more quickly, and you're more likely to stay tuned into your knowledge by achieving those small-term goals. I am a note taker, so generally I will have 2 notebooks with me. One is my subject notebook, where if I'm listening to a lecture, I'm taking notes. And the second book that I have is my brain dump notebook. This is any thought that I have that isn't in line or I can't find a way to put it in my subject notebook, I throw it into my brain dump notebook. I prefer to keep 2 notebooks because I like my course notes to be clean in one notebook, and then my brain dump notebook is a little bit more messy with random thoughts and maybe even pieces of art that I want to make afterwards based on whatever I'm learning. I also want to take time to remind you that this is a self-driven curriculum. This is your personal curriculum, so make it fun. Go on field trips! Beforehand, we were always stuck in classrooms. It doesn't have to be that anymore. If you are studying pottery, go to an art museum, go to a pottery class, talk to an actual person, an artist, a librarian, someone. Go out in the world. The best way to learn is also by practice. So take yourself on field trips to the movies, to an art museum, to a lecture in a brewery. Whatever it is, go out there and do it. The world has so much knowledge waiting for you that can apply to the topics you're studying, so don't be afraid to go out there and see it and put it into practice. And the last part of structuring your lessons is time. Be consistent. It does not mean you have to sit down for 4 or 5 hours every single day after work to try and get all these lessons in. You can pace yourself. This could be a 1-week sprint. It could be a 1 month. It could be 3 months. It could be a whole year you're studying these topics. It's self-paced, so don't squeeze everything in that small time frame. But consistency is key. So even if it's 20 minutes a day that you're taking to read 3 pages of a chapter or to view a video essay online, that's still a step ahead of not doing anything. Doing something, starting that practice and getting that consistency is what's going to help you moving forward. Step 3, finding your resource material, finding your learning material. I'm very passionate about this because it can send you down such a rabbit hole spiral that you get so enthralled with the amount of knowledge there is in the world. What I am most passionate about is free resources. There may be paywalls out there, but I try and provide you resources that have no paywalls because education is a free right. I believe that people should all have the availability and accessibility to education. Education should be accessible, and that's why I have a list of free resources that I'm happy to provide for you. I'm going to say it, it's controversial, and that's why I'm going to say it, Wikipedia. Now hold on. I can already hear all of the teachers and professors yelling at me saying, Wikipedia is not reliable. I know. What I want you to do is go to the Wikipedia page, whatever topic that you want to study, and scroll all the way down, keep going, to the resources. This is where you're going to find the resources you want to look for. We're not reading that Wikipedia page. Yes, it's there. Yes, it's free, but anyone can edit Wikipedia. Wikipedia is a collaborative site of knowledge from other people, and it isn't necessarily always fact-checked. But you want to go down to the resource section, and here you'll find lectures, books, thesis papers, research papers that have been peer-reviewed, reliable resources that you can just click on and get directed to the original source. And sometimes it'll actually bring you to a free PDF of the source. So while using Wikipedia as your primary source for study is not recommended, nor do I encourage it, I do encourage you to go down to the resource page and see what other authors of whatever page and topic you're on have cited, and go to those works that have been cited. Another free resource that I recommend is JSTOR. If you do not know what this is, it is basically a scholarly site that allows you to read up to 100 articles per month. And I don't know about you, but I don't know anyone who's reading 100 articles per month unless they're doing their doctorate thesis on whatever topic it is. And this is a great resource, like I said, to add to your education and your studies. Say you want to go more for scholarly papers or research papers, theses, things like that. Google Scholar will be your best friend in that. It'll bring up peer-reviewed papers for you. I do always recommend reviewing the peer-reviewed date as well as the original source when doing so, but I do recommend it as a source for finding materials in that sense. Now, this one is my favorite of all time resource, and if you do not utilize it, I will judge you severely. Go to your local library. Yes, your local library. There are librarians who are employed with degrees solely on being able to help you find materials based on any topic that you are researching. They are literally sitting there hoping to help someone, waiting to answer your questions. Please utilize your libraries. There's so much material there. It's great to go and actually talk to somebody else, and they'll be able to help pull additional resources that you may not have even thought of. I truly cannot talk more about how amazing a library is. And what's even better, my local library actually has a place on their website that you can get recommendations from librarians. And it doesn't have to be research topics. You can say, I love 1970 rom-coms, and they'll send you movies, they'll send you books, they'll send you recommendations. You can say, I'm a shark lover and I love sharks with good endings, and they'll send you books based on sharks. Like, these resources are out there and I highly recommend going to utilize them. And last but not least, if you are looking for documentaries to watch, Canopy is my favorite of all time app to use. If you don't know what Canopy is, it is a free app associated with your library card, similar to Libby, but solely for movies and television and documentaries. Step 4 is documenting your learning. So whether this be on a computer, on a 3-ring binder, maybe going to get a college-ruled notebook, whatever it is, go out and get it. This is your time to be creative. I usually, like I mentioned earlier, have 2 notebooks, my brainstorming or my brain dump notebook, and my course note. I personally prefer to handwrite everything and then transcribe that onto a computer, just so that when I go back and review my learnings and whatever notes I have taken, I can clean it up. Let's be honest, the first time we take notes, it isn't always clean and it can be messy. And if you're someone that loves like a dump journal or scrapbooking, this is a great time to start making things look pretty and make it beautiful. If you're learning about art history, put a picture of the painting that you've studied in there. Doodle, maybe even utilize some of the materials that you're discussing in your studies. If you're someone that loves those kooky, colorful pens, get them. I'm usually someone that has maybe 2 or 3, 4 different colors in my notebooks, all titling different things because I associated that with what I was learning. If you're someone that associates a color with a subject, embrace that. I'm someone that thinks math is red, so I will always go ahead and get a red notebook for my math studies. Not only about documenting your learning, I recommend joining communities like Discords or Reddit pages or Tumblr. Join other communities and document your learnings there. Talk to other people. Create your own Socratic seminar. Get a group together. If there's other people who are interested in learning the same thing as you, get them together. Host wine nights. Do presentations where you can retell what you've learned in your curriculum to other people. Make it fun and document how you're learning. Learning doesn't have to be neat. It can be ink spread pages. It can be post-it notes covering up mistakes. It could be white outlines everywhere. Whatever it is that helps bring you back into learning, I encourage it. It could also mean that you're doing washi tape with cute little designs and little chibis that are pointing to your next pieces of notes. It doesn't have to be aesthetic, but if that's what you want, that's what you do. I also recommend reflecting. After you've read a book or a few chapters, write your reflection, write your thoughts down. What are questions that came up while you were reading? Reflect on that. The best feeling I could ever express is seeing your progress and your mental thought from day 1 of starting your lesson to completing it, or midway through for your midterm, and seeing how you've learned and customized yourself to whatever topic is. It is just such a beautiful path to see yourself going, to see how much knowledge you've taken in, that I recommend reflecting every few classes, every few chapters. Reflect on that so that the knowledge continues to stay with you. Some tips I recommend when starting a personal curriculum is to start small. If you take on too many classes or you're too ambitious, you're more likely to burn out quickly, so start small. Embrace flexibility. If you don't have the energy to take on the social-political dynamics of airplanes in World War II, don't do it. Maybe you just take on bread baking that day. I don't know, but be flexible and be forgiving with yourself. You don't have to stick to such a strict schedule. You can allow yourself freedom and flexibility of going to classes that aren't so energy taxing. And like I said, document your learning, keep notes, make infographics, make charts. If you're someone that loves Excel, make a spreadsheet. Do whatever it is that is going to make you passionate. And I kind of talked about it a little bit, but join communities. Join Discords, join Tumblr, join Reddit, join your local library for lectures. Find and join a community because you'll continue to have amazing, diverse conversations and it'll keep you still interested and intrigued in the conversation. Welcome to my December curriculum. I'm so excited. I've been obsessed with this trend since it came out and I saw so many people doing it and I thought, you know what? It's finally my time. I'm someone that loves to study. If you've seen my Instagram or you follow me on any social media, I'm always doing something. Whether it be picking up a new skill, traveling to a new country, I can never sit still, and that's a problem. But not here. This is when it actually pays off. So for this, I've taken 3 classes that I'm making a full curriculum for myself. I'm going to be studying. There's going to be questions that I formulate in my brain dump notebook that I mentioned in the video, and I'm really excited for it. So for the month of December, I'm trying to complete these 3 classes. The first one is Moral Problems and the Good Life. The second one is the Art of Heartbreak. And the third one is Pottery, Throwing It Your Way. You may be wondering why these topics, and I'll dive into them a little bit. I have been really reflecting on my life in the last year, and there's things that I've learned and things that I've changed and things that I've grown, but with that, I wanted to dive a little bit more deeper into the complexities of life, the complexities of humanity. Now that sounds like a quarter life crisis. We're not going there. No one's going there. We are learning, okay? Moral Problems and the Good Life. This is my first class. We want to encourage critical reflection of ethical questions, dissect ethical theories and how to apply them to real life cases, explore moral problems while developing critical reasoning and argumentative skills more generally. So kind of opening my horizon to understanding sound and unsound arguments and really dissecting what is ethics. I've never taken a philosophy class in my life. Let's start there. I've never done that. I was always very deep in art or very deep into some kind of creative process, which one can argue philosophy goes hand in hand with creativity. But I thought this would be a great time for me to actually sit down and dissect philosophy and read some well-known philosophers and become that disgustingly well-educated woman that I want to be. So jumping to our resources, I'm someone that loves to read. So I've picked 3 of what I'm considering to be the most influential philosophers for the topic and idea of moral problems. So we have Groundwork of the Metaphysics of Morals by Immanuel Kant. I've heard a lot about Kant. I just can't think of it in the moment. Philosophers hate me. What We Owe to Each Other by T.M. Scanlon. And then I apologize because it is in Latin, but it's De Rerum Natura, which just translates to On the Nature of Things. I just started this actually in preparation for this class, and I'm very excited to continue it. Outside of just doing books itself and papers and poems and things, I'm also someone that really enjoys film. So focusing on the moral problems, we are diving into hedonism. So from there, I'm going to be doing 2 films. One is Eyes Wide Shut, the 1999 release, as well as another film called La Grande Bellezza. That is a 2013 release. Both of these are following the idea of hedonism or really trying to live your best life. So this course focuses on hedonism, the pursuit of pleasure, the pursuit of overall happiness. While I'm not diving solely into Epicurus's writing, I will be jumping into some excerpts here and there. I guess you could say I'm curious about Epicurus. I think it's so funny. Please laugh with me. I'm gonna keep that in. Okay, so that's kind of a bit about my philosophy class that I'm taking. I'm also gonna be doing the Art of Heartbreak. So the course description for this class is to analyze intimate bonds and the multitudes of heartbreak. So this means the multitudes of it, whether it is unrequited love or right person, wrong time, just all multitudes that we experience heartbreak, as well as explore the transformative states of a couple through heartbreak and the recapturing of self-identity. This one is really important because I feel like heartbreak is at the core of what humanity is. We all experience pain, and at some points it's intoxicating, the amount of love and anguish that we have for someone. There's literally a medical condition called heartbreak syndrome that exists because of how severely we experience heartbreaks as humanity. And I'm really intrigued after going through my own of like seeing the love and seeing the way of rekindling that kinship with yourself afterwards. As much as heartbreak hurts, there's still love within that. There's still this dying of yearning that is within someone. It's almost like a feral, animalistic energy that's still with someone. And then the whole healing process is so interesting to me. So I picked out some books specifically for this. Madonna in a Fur Coat is one book that I've been hearing a ton about recently on TikTok. And it's a short read, about 150 pages of anguish and love. So I'm really excited for that one. We have White Nights that apparently is supposed to be very heartbreaking as well, so I'm very intrigued to check this one out. I've chose Wandering Souls as one of my books because I wanted to change up this idea of love being just romantic. Because you can have a heartbreak that's familial, you can be upset, disappointed by the loss of people. And I chose Wandering Souls. It's about 3 Vietnamese children who seek refuge in the UK and confront new identities as refugees facing social inequality. And I feel like that is such a heavy concept and heartbreaking in itself that it falls in line with the idea of the art of heartbreak and overcoming it. So I'm very interested to read that. This last book is actually one that I'm very excited for, called The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. And I'm obsessed with Mel Robbins because I listen to her podcasts and her podcasts are great. So I'm kind of going to be jumping into her more written form, but she is just an amazing writer, an amazing speaker. So very excited to read this book. This one is more like a self-help book about kind of accepting things outside of your control. So we have books that are talking about the love, the unrequited love, broken sibling love, and then self-love. So all arches of this heartbreak that we're looking for. And then I picked 2 films to dive into. Both I've never seen before, but I felt like this one was a classic that I needed to watch, which was Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, released in 2004. I was young when it was released, so I did not see it. But I feel like there's so many movies out there that I could watch to kind of get that idea of heartbreak and the art of heartbreak and overcoming it. One most recommended was Legally Blonde. And I have to be honest, I've seen Legally Blonde too many times in the last month. And in the last 3 months, I've played the musical every single day. So I'm kind of done listening to Legally Blonde. And not in a bad way. I love Legally Blonde. Oh my God. I love Legally Blonde. But I was like, let me go outside of media that I'm comfortable with and find something new. So we're going with The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And then I did find a documentary I'm very excited for called Love Hurts, The Science of Heartbreak, released in 2024. So this is a documentary that goes over heartbreak as itself, as well as how we can utilize science and our own biology to help us overcome these emotions and heartbreak that we go through. So I'm very excited to dive a little bit deeper into that and really analyze this full cycle of emotions we go through in heartbreak. Because in a way, heartbreak is still beautiful and it produces so much for us. We find so many artists and so many poems and poets that come from heartbreak. So I'm very excited for this class. And last but not least, I needed creative. We all know I'm a very creative person, from cosplay to writing to art. And I was like, I need something new to get my hands on. So we have Pottery, Throwing It Your Way. I recently just joined a makerspace that has a full kiln and potter's wheel and glazes more than I could ever want. So I'm very excited to dive into this space, and that's kind of why I chose pottery. So for my course description, I want to learn the basics of working on the potter's wheel, including centering clay, shaping vessels, and trimmings. I also want to explore surface decoration and glazing techniques. One thing that I do want to note in this is I did not write it, but I'm actually very intrigued to learn the difference between throwing clay and using like polymer clay as opposed to clay that we go out and collect, or honestly, I don't know, but I know there's a difference, and that's what I'm very excited for about this class, is to learn difference in clay, difference in throwing, different in like carving techniques. So I'm very excited to get my hands dirty on this potter's wheel. Finding books for this was very interesting because I feel like a craft is very hands-on, that you just need to just dive in, especially with pottery. You just need to roll up your sleeves and dive right in. And trust me, I love to get my hands dirty. So I did dive a little deep into finding books that I thought were not the one-on-one pottery for dummies kind of thing. By My Hands by Florian Gadsby. I'm very excited because I actually fell in love with Florian Gadsby as I was doing this research. There's so much resource and materials that they put out in the world, and I'm very excited to dive into. I have A Potter's Book by Bernard Leach. I'm very excited. This really talks about components and starting the craft of pottery and ceramics. Truly almost like a diary of the arts. So I'm very excited for that one. And then last but not least, I think every artist at this point has heard of this book, and I kind of wanted to bring it back, is Steal Like an Artist. And this book is one that I've been gifted multiple times, and I have on my shelf here in my apartment. And I think it's time for me to sit down and go through and actually read the in-depth of Steal Like an Artist, because it gives an idea of falling back in love with your creativity. So that's why I'm really excited for Steal Like an Artist. Now, moving on to films, I have searched for so long to find films about pottery. And I don't know why it was so difficult to find films on ceramics or films on pottery, but it honestly was harder than I expected. So I've picked 2 films to dive into. So one of the films is 7 Days in Helsinki, and this follows the life of a potter. And I'm very excited because it's one of the few documentaries I was able to find. Another one is a 5-part series called Revolutions of the Wheel, produced in 2021. I'm very excited for this because it is on Canopy, one of the free apps that I mentioned earlier in the video. And I know I said that I'm obsessed with Florian Gadsby, and I'm going to be watching some of his YouTube videos in the upcoming months. He did produce a YouTube video that goes into blue clay and utilizing glazing that I'm very excited for. It's one of his long form videos. So I'm going to utilize that and aiding in how I can then craft. I'm very excited to try my hand at the potter's wheel and to learn more about not only the history of pottery and ceramics, but how to utilize my own clay to make things that I can use in daily life, like teapots and cups and mugs, and give them as gifts. I'm very excited to just see that all in general. Now you guys know what my December curriculum looks like. If you're interested in joining me, you can definitely tag along. I'll make sure to put all of the resources down below as well, but they are available throughout the video. And then if you have any questions or want to talk about it, let me know. Maybe I'll make a Substack or something that we can all discuss the fun things we're learning through this curriculum in December. If you have any questions about making a personal curriculum that I did not answer in the video, please feel free to put them in the comments below. I'm very excited to help answer and to be part of this like resurgence of the Renaissance. I'm loving this trend and I hope you guys jump on it with me. At the end of December, I will be posting a video of my reflection based on my courses, as well as a video for what January's courses will look like. So if you're interested in joining me or have recommendations for classes you think I should try or a personal curriculum you want to do with me, put them all down below in the comments. I'm so excited to read them. But thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm Geek from Geek.en.Chic, and this is me geeking out. So see ya!